Everybody, what is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone out there is having a great Friday. Hope you guys are looking forward to a great weekend. Hope you guys are ready for some live Week 10 fantasy Q&A. Anything that you guys need tonight, start sets, trades, roster reviews, injury updates, player updates, whatever it may be. We're talking fantasy football. Week 10 tonight. We're going to have some fun. We've got Pete from After the Review Sports in the house. What's going on, man?
Not much, what are we, week 10 now in the NFL? It's going way too fast. I don't know. We got to figure some things out. T. Higgins out for me. I had Deontay Foreman and the Bears defense hang a nice 26. So I gotta make some plays. We gotta make some moves. We gotta win this week. It's crunch time for everybody.
That's about as good of a start as he could have had. I mean, but yeah, week 10, some good games on the slate this week. In terms of news, real quick, looks like David Montgomery is good to go. He will play this weekend for the Lions. If you own Jahmyr Gibbs, he might be a little bit queasy. But I think both will be okay.
Anytime touchdown plus 105, or minus 105, little extra big right there.
I like that. I like that game this weekend too. I think that's gonna be one of the better games of the weekend. But I don't know. I feel good about this slate of games this week. I think it's gonna be, other than like, there could be some defensive games, but yeah, Lions Chargers sounds fun.
Well, we got the bad game out. Like I said, Bears Panthers. We got that out of the way. We're clear sailing. Sunday night, Monday night, not the best games, but Sunday slate, noon, whatever, 3 o'clock, 1, 4, good slate of games. I agree.
I was about to say Jets Raiders might not be that exciting. Actually, I think the Broncos could be a little sneaky this weekend.
That's a good upset play. They've been pretty good since they got 70 hung on them.
I think the Bills will probably pull it out because that Broncos defense is so bad. But I think the Broncos can hang, at least. Anyways, Stephon Diggs showed up on the injury report today. So, I mean, if he doesn't play, that's a big impact for the Bills. Justin Jefferson listed as questionable going into the matchup against the Saints with quarterback Josh Dobbs in play. We haven't got to talk since the Vikings won a football game last week. So before we hop into getting your guys' fantasy questions, Pete, how are you feeling right now? And do you think Justin Jefferson has any shot to play?
I would give it a 5% chance on Jefferson. Maybe he plays. He's not going to see volume if he does play. Just from the statements from the head coach and Jefferson this week, like he was like, I'm not playing until I'm 100%. I'm not just going to sit out games. I'm trying to be a Hall of Famer, but we got to be right. KOC said it would take a miracle for him to play this week early in the week. So maybe he comes in, gets a couple snaps if they want to get him some reps. Denver next week's really juicy matchup. You get him in. And even if you're not, Chicago at home into the bye, you can play him that one game, get the bye, make sure everything's good. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Four in a row for my Vikings. Josh Dobbs, the GOAT. He's goated. I don't know what to say.
Hall of Famer.
Best quarterback in the NFL. Hall of Famer. Best. Yeah, my team likes to get miracle wins. I'll give it to them. They're gritty. I don't know what it is about KOC, Brian. It's a super gritty football team. And Arthur Smith's going to Arthur Smith, man. They just butchered that game in the red zone multiple times. Couldn't get sevens when they needed to, when Minnesota was floundering, and we just kind of found a way.
Some of those runs by Josh Dobbs. So, I mean, I think I read on the season, like he's like top 5 in like every
second in rushing behind Lamar.
Yeah, behind Lamar, but like every rushing category by a quarterback, he's like top 5. And I don't know, it's good stuff to see. You like to see that, right? I'm always rooting for a backup quarterback, but I agree with you.
Makes life difficult. Like if you have to worry about Dobbs running, Addison, Hockenson, JJ, you're gonna feast in fantasy because he gets the ball. He does distribute very well.
Alexander Madison has looked okay.
No, never.
Yeah,
KJ Osborne should make KJ Osborne also questionable. Maybe he plays after the concussion.
I was about to say, at least I didn't mention KJ Osborne to you.
He's getting back in my good graces a little bit.
David Pierce, Nico Collins are not expected to play this week. And other than that, Kyler Murray is officially the starter for the Cardinals, who will face the Arthur Smith-led Falcons this week. So that game's gonna be really interesting at home for the Cardinals, but their defense still sucks. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, whatever you guys need, get in the live chat. Let's get this thing going. Fantasy questions, start sits, trades, injuries, roster reviews, whatever you guys need. Let's talk some week 10 fantasy. Let's have some fun tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Let's get into it. Cinnabon, what's going on? Chase, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Good to have you in the house. What's going on? Anakin, hello, hello. Chase, start 2 quarterbacks this week: Minshew, Heineke, or Kyler. Ooh. You know, I'm kind of disappointed because I don't really know if Taylor Heineke is going to be a thing because his coach is Arthur Smith. But it's a great matchup. I mean, he had a good matchup last week against the Vikings, and his ceiling just seemed really limited in this offense, albeit it was his first start. So maybe we get a little bit of a different outcome this week. I think you can roll with him if you want to kind of gamble. He still threw the ball 38 times. But I feel a little bit better about going Minshew and Kyler. But how do you feel about Kyler in his first start?
I'm sitting Kyler. I have him. I'm going to play Lawrence against Frisco instead, which isn't a great matchup, but coming off a bye. I want to see it with Kyler. Call of Duty did release this week. That's a big problem. That's a big red flag. Kyler ain't reading the playbook this week because Call of Duty's out. So that's something to watch on. I picked up Heineke to start for Mahomes in my family league. I think it's a great matchup. Heineke didn't look bad. He threw a back-breaking interception, but we kind of know that. So if you go in like Heineke's probably going to throw a pick. He threw the ball well, had a couple of really nice throws. Jonnu Smith seems to be his guy with that. Had this long screenplay, had a couple of long pickups down there. My only problem with Minshew is they're in Germany, and that early window has been a lot of unders. They're 4 for 4 in unders this season. Patriots defense isn't good, but it hasn't been bad. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird spot for Minshew. If they were playing stateside, I would love Minshew this week. I think they can score points left and right. And I'm kind of just apprehensive on Kyler. Who knows what Arizona's doing? They control the first pick. I think they want that pick still.
We've got to start 2. So I do kind of agree, though. I think you set Kyler here. And in his first start, I'm always like, I'm never a fan of starting a player that's missed significant time in their first game back. You know, if they look really good, then that's a good thing. You know, you weren't really planning on having them as a starter at this point in the season quite yet. So it's a good thing. And if they are kind of slow, then like
it's a totally new offense too. Like that even
right.
adds even more to
That's
it. Like
true.
he hasn't run. How many reps does he have with his guys in the system?
Atlanta's defense tends to really break in like the second half, but they have not been that bad this year. They've been pretty bad against opposing quarterbacks in fantasy, but it just doesn't really matter. Kyler's missed so much time. I think we sit him here this week, unless you're desperate, you know. So Minshew and Heineke, throw them out there, Chase. All right, beat ups. Henry or White half PPR. I really do like Rashad White this week. I'm really happy that he's looking good. Yes, my boy. But I think you got to go Derrick Henry. You know, I don't think you can bench Derrick Henry. It's a good matchup. The Colts have been soft against the run. Excuse me, not the Colts. The Bucks. It actually is a kind of a tough matchup against the Bucks. My bad. I don't know why I thought he was playing the Colts for a second, but it just doesn't really matter. It's Derrick Henry. I think you throw him out there. If you don't like the matchup, because on paper the Bucks are the second best team against running backs in fantasy. I mean, go Rashad White, but the Titans are 13th against the position. So, but yeah, I think half PPR you throw Henry out there, right? I mean, it's Derrick Henry.
They have awful pass defense too, Tampa Bay. So maybe a lot of goal line touches, which they're not going to let Levis throw in the goal line.
Yeah, the Bucks have been so bad against the past couple games. Matthew, what's up, man? Would you start the Bills defense or the Falcons? Yeah. I feel like both these defenses could really end up bending this week. Like I'm not really comfortable with either of them because the Bills defense actually hasn't been that great. It's been okay, but they've been really bad against like running backs, for example, and then their secondary's been just fine. I mean, between the two, I'd go with the Bills. But I would see who else is available and let us know. Maybe there's an option that we feel a bit more comfortable with.
Like look Vegas. Vegas is a
Yeah,
nice stream this week against the Jets. It would have been Chicago on Thursday, unfortunately. I
I
agree.
really,
Bills defense.
yeah, I really like the Raiders this week. They were one of the realistic teams in the defense video for the week that you guys could go out and pick up, stream this week. And this point in the week, they might be hard to scoop because they're playing Zach Wilson. People got privy to that. Aaron Reborn, good to see you, dude. What's up? Coin flip, 4-5 with the most points in my league. Happens.
Pain.
Happens. But hey, 4-5, you're in the playoffs more than likely, right? Jay Fitness, what's up, dude? Happy PR, sit one, Mondre, Mixon, Saquon, Hollywood, Javante. That's tough. Good options here. I think Javante is actually pretty stinky this week. The Bills' run defense has been pretty bad fantasy-wise this year. You know, I think it boils down to Hollywood or Javante. But I think it's really tough, actually. Because, Hollywood's going to get peppered with targets, right?
Probably. And it's like, but Denver's like looked good running the ball the last few weeks. Like they've
Mhm.
actually had a run game. That Bills defense is so beat up. I don't know what I'm gonna get out of the Bills. Like they had a players only meeting. That's not a good thing when you're having a players only meeting at this point in the year. Love like Ramondre, like you said, the Colts don't have a good run defense. Mixon should have a good game with no T Higgins. They're gonna have to lean on him. Saquon, he's gonna get 36 touches this week. So
I mean, maybe Saquon. I still am not at a point where I'm benching Saquon.
yeah,
This is
he's
a
been good with DeVito, and they just hand him the ball a million times. And he had a good week last week, and they got killed.
yeah. They're probably gonna get killed this week, but
They're
I'm like,
definitely gonna get killed this week.
he still had 14 fantasy points last week. It's like who else are they gonna utilize? Uh, like maybe you look at the matchup against the Cowboys though, and like you don't see as high of a ceiling, but this is a tough one. Atlanta's been good against wide receivers, but I just think every snap Kyler, his first read is going to Hollywood. I think his PPR value skyrockets this week. It's half PPR though, so maybe I do set Hollywood because I feel like he's great PPR wise this week, but half PPR, maybe just roll with the running backs here.
Maybe you see how you do. You leave Hollywood and Javante as your open spot, and you see how your first three or your first two roll, and then you can kind of flex. Like if you really need a big week, maybe roll the dice and sit Saquon because we think he's just gonna have an average week if he
Sure.
has that. So there's some flexibility there. I mean, life's good if Ramondre carves up Indy to start the
Yeah.
day.
I do think Mixon's gonna have a good game. I definitely would not bench Ramondre or Mixon this week. It's tough. It's tough, but I like that plan. Maybe see if you're kind of in a position where you need more upside or not. And then you go into the second half of the day and make that decision. But if you don't feel like checking your lineup, just go with the running backs, have PPR, but it's tough. I feel like all these guys could have good days. So make this trade, Barkley and DJ Moore for Eckler. I'd probably consider that trade based on your roster. But I think DJ Moore is a good buy low right now because once Justin Fields is back, DJ Moore went from like top 3 fantasy wide receiver to like non-existent. He might not get back to that same exact ceiling like the game against Washington or anything, but he'll be good. But it just depends on the roster. I would rather have Eckler than Barkley right now, just more upside. But yeah, it depends on the roster.
It could change real quick this week, though. If the Chargers
Sure.
lay an egg against Detroit, it's like, okay, it's the same old Chargers, and
I
at
think
least
they are.
Barkley. Yeah,
I,
I kind of do too. I can't trust this team at all.
until Staley's gone, yeah. But we know Eckler's going to get those value touches. So, should I roll with Ridley or go Tank Dell? So this is interesting because I liked Tank Dell coming into the week, but I like him a lot less with Nico Collins not playing. Because there's way more defensive pressure on Tank Dell. And I think he's a great young wide receiver, but it's a big test for him, right? So many of those plays where he's able to get open is because the defensive pressure is on Nico Collins. So,
It's like the third option. Like
yeah,
he's going to take away the safety over the top two if they run
yeah.
there.
There's been
I,
times where Robert Woods was involved. And I see Noah Brown involved. Those things help. Like Noah Brown's having a huge game. Tank Dell is alone in the end zone, I think I go Ridley here.
I like Ridley a lot. I mean, San Francisco's secondary is bad.
They are bad.
Now, the pass rush is going to be good, but Jacksonville's O-line's finally complete.
Mhm.
So no hurt injuries, no suspensions. We could have a real interesting game in Jacksonville, I think.
I like that game. That's gonna be. I think that's probably the game I'm gonna pay the most attention to this week. But yeah, neither of these secondaries are that good. Between Jacksonville's been better the past couple of weeks, but they're still 16th against wide receivers in fantasy. And then yeah, the Niners are bottom 10. They are not good in the secondary. And then the Bengals are top 12. They're 11th against the position. And I just think all that defensive pressure goes to Tank Dell as a wide receiver one, which don't get me wrong, he can show up. But I'd bank on Ridley here. So that's my answer. Cinnamon, I forgot to ask you last night. Thoughts on my half PPR trade? Cooper, Olave, Saquon for JJ and Mixon. I don't remember which side you were, but it doesn't matter. You can still evaluate it. I mean, the big thing here is like, when does JJ come back? And I think you got JJ and Mixon, if I'm not mistaken. I'm usually a depth guy, so I might take the depth here. I might go Cooper, Olave, and Saquon as a side I like a little bit more. But if you got JJ, I'm good with it. I mean, if you feel like your roster is good enough, you have the depth already, doesn't bother me. You got JJ, so let's see what's going on. Josiah, good evening. Who would you suggest start between Goff and Geno? This is actually a little tricky. Washington, so bad.
They're bad.
So much worse now that they don't have Young and Sweat, I would imagine. Against quarterbacks this year, let me get it pulled up here. I would imagine they're not playing. Yeah, they're the second worst team in the league, fantasy wise, against opposing quarterbacks. I just think Geno's gonna potentially have a sneaky good day. He's been bad this year, though, fantasy wise.
He's been bad in general.
Sure.
Geno's. I'm thinking it was a one-hit wonder with Geno. I kind of love Goff this week, coming off a bye. Now, do the running backs poach his touchdowns? Possibly.
Yeah.
Goff is awesome indoors. They're playing indoors. There's going to be 45,000 Lion fans in LA because
Yeah.
everyone wants to get out of Detroit this time of year. It's starting to get cold, and the Chargers have no home field. And they're what are they? The 30th ranked pass defense. So yeah, Geno's got the upside. I think both coaches are your problem here. Both coaches want to run the ball into the end zone. Now, Geno throws up a jump ball. DK's getting angry. Give him a couple tutties, make him feel better. I don't think there's a bad play here.
I think they're actually really close. Like because I agree. I just feel like that Chargers Lions game, the game script's good. Secondary's worse than the run defense for the Chargers.
Way. They have a pretty good run
They
defense,
moved up
actually.
in rankings a couple spots because they played the Bears last, but so you can't read too much into it. And they're still
They play the Bears and the Jets back to back. That'll boost anybody's secondary.
they're still bottom 5 for what it's worth, you know. So I don't think there's a wrong play here. I think the more grounded play is Jared Goff. If you want a little bit of upside but more risk for a lower ceiling, Geno. But I'd probably just start Goff. But I do feel like there's that possibility against Washington that Geno is a good day. But I think Kenneth Walker will have a good day for what it's worth. So Jackie, start Javonte, Jacoby, JSN. I'd start JSN if it's full PPR. Any other format, you could go Javonte. But I love JSN this week. Going back to what we just talked about, Washington secondary, second worst in the league against wide receivers, fantasy wise. So I think JSN, who's had double digits the last 3 weeks, has another good game. So, Three Rocketeers. Who would you start between Noah Brown, Robert Woods, or Romeo Dobbs? I actually like Romeo Dobbs this week. Noah Brown was like, yeah, he looked really good last week. Collins not going to play. Same thing for Bobby Trees, I guess. At least with Collins not playing. Those guys are probably fine. But I like Dobbs. I mean, bad week for him last week, but he's kind of been the number one wide receiver for the Packers this year. And the Steelers secondary is not good. Their front seven, fine. Run defense, meh.
Green Bay is so bad though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care that I watched that whole game on rewind. The Rams are just awful without Stafford. Like, Love is a terrible quarterback, and they can't run the football. Like, Pittsburgh's gonna make his life miserable. I
Yeah.
just don't know how they like. I mean,
I
maybe
think
I just don't see them moving the ball.
the interesting thing with Romeo Dobbs is like it will just take like
One play.
one or two trips to the end zone and he gets those red zone targets, you know. Um so I like Dobbs this week, but I do think there's going to be some moments in this game where Jordan Love has a ton of pressure and it's going to get ugly at points. But I go Dobbs out of these options specifically. I just don't want to trust Noah Brown yet. I think he was a good pickup for the week. Maybe there's some upside with Nico Collins not playing, but we weren't talking about Noah Brown at all this year until last week. So
We want to see one more week of CJ, maybe kind of lighten it up.
yeah, but he'll have some more opportunities this week for sure. Here's a good one. Thoughts on Martavius? Just let it play out and don't waste a roster spot. I mean, it's you have one of these like Josh Gordon situations every year in fantasy, or like Odell when he was like supposed to be back last year and was never back, and kept telling you guys like just don't waste a roster spot. I just wouldn't do it. If it becomes a thing, then that's fine. I don't think you're missing out on a ton here. There's still Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, Ferguson, obviously CeeDee Lamb. I don't even. Is he even on the active roster?
Do we have a clown emoji? Like, the Cowboys are clowns for picking him up. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. I was
Brandon Cooks is already crying that he doesn't get the football this week. Like,
and Cook should be more involved. He's looked good when he's had the opportunities.
It's the Cowboys.
It's the Cowboys. That's true.
Ferguson is the steal right now. He's clearly the number 2.
I like Ferguson. Think about trading Kenneth and MT for Josh Jacobs and Myers. Value good or don't send through. It's pretty good value. Kenneth Jacobs with Kenneth's upcoming schedule, they're pretty even, honestly. I'd rather have Myers than MT. So I'd say it's a fine offer.
I just kind of dislike the double dip
there
with the
That's true. I mean, you got Aiden O'Connell to finish the year, so for what it's worth, for whatever reason, I still feel like I'd like to own Kenneth Walker more than any of these other players. And don't forget that Jacoby Myers hasn't really been good since Jimmy G's been out of the picture. So it's close, I guess. 16-team league, so very deep. I mean,
it's not bad.
It's close. If you don't mind having double dipping into the Raiders, I do think it's fair value though. T-Lock, Kyler, J Love, bench one. I mean, it's between Kyler and J Lo. I might bench Kyler here.
It's safer.
It is. If you want to go for some upside, start Kyler over J Love. But I think this week I'd bench Kyler. Thoughts on JSN this week? Love him. He made the must start video for the week. Washington secondary sucks. He's had double digits 3 weeks in a row. Lockett and Metcalf should be fine this week too, but JSN is kind of creeping into looking like the primary receiver at the moment. At the moment, at least.
Well, he's the third. He's the slot. He's the easy check down. That's for sure.
I like JSN a lot if you own him. Connor plays. Do I still start Ridley at flex? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Connor, another guy, might play this weekend. I don't love him. Don't hate him if you need to start him, but Atlanta's run defense been pretty solid. First game back, he'll probably be okay. He gets the volume right, but I'd start Ridley. Cats, what's up, dude? Stroud or T-Law in Dynasty? Overall, I still want. Well, see, this is interesting, right? Because this current season, like T-Law is winning football games, which is important.
That is
the grand scheme of things. But the way that the Jaguars are getting it done is not equating to fantasy points for Trevor Lawrence. So it's interesting. Stroud, on the other hand, maybe not winning as many football games, but is equating to a lot of fantasy points, right? And this is interesting. I was actually listening to Dynasty Life Fantasy, Stevie the other night, and they were having this conversation like, how high is CJ Stroud in Dynasty now? And like, because people kind of are crowning CJ Stroud in Dynasty rankings pretty highly. It's a tough conversation because we're still going off of such a small sample size. Um, and I don't know. I'm a T-Law truther. Like, that's my guy.
He's
Like,
we're gonna. Okay, like how long of a time frame? We're talking like the next 4 seasons here.
at least, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be close. Trevor Lawrence is going to be in a lot of big games. He's going to play a lot of good teams. He's going to have to score a lot of points. He's gotten better the last 2 seasons under Doug. I trust Doug to scheme up the offense. Now, does his boy ETN take away all his touchdowns? Possibly. I think Stroud could have like that sophomore slump where he kind of everything gets on tape. Everybody has an offseason to prep for you. Like, it's not to say he's not going to be awesome. He'll probably be a top 10 quarterback when it's all said and done. 2 years from now, he might be a top 5 quarterback if he continues the trend. But what's Houston's upside? Like, Houston's going to have to balance this thing out a little bit. They're going to start getting better. And they're in the same division, so it's a lot of fun. It's a good comp right here.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you still have like A-Rich creeping around too.
Who knows?
I don't know. This division could start to spice up a little bit.
Will Levis is the truth. Will Levis truth.
About to say it, and don't forget about Levis, right? This is a really tough one. I'm sticking with T-Law though. I like people are not going to like that answer at all. But this is just so based off of recency biasy, which is so important in Dynasty. Like, you cannot flip a switch on a player right away. And I think Stroud's going to be great. But once again, it's just like we're having the effect of all these big games coming out of Stroud, the way he throws football, and then like just not good fantasy performances coming out of Trevor Lawrence. But it's not like he's playing bad necessarily. Just not putting up fantasy points. It's close. It's a good conversation, one that we could break down a lot more in depth. If you're in a win now situation, you might want Stroud. Overall, general, you might want to stick with T-Law because I feel like it's a more consistent situation. But it's close. It's close. Like I said, we could break this one down
Hours
for a while. We'll get to the dynasty content, the hardcore dynasty content after the Super Bowl. Ghost Hunter, what's up, man? Have the Browns defense picked up Seattle for this week? Browns have been good to me this year, but against Baltimore was their low. Yeah. I don't like the Browns defense as a start this week. They haven't been that great fantasy-wise this year. They've been great real life
on the
football.
field. Yeah.
They only hit double digits 3 times this year, and I don't see them doing it on the road against Baltimore this week.
That game's going to be low scoring, I think. I think that's kind of a trap game.
I do too. I was about to say.
It's going to be a low scoring game.
The Browns have a good shot to win this game, actually. They kind of looked rejuvenated offensively last week. I think it'll be a really close game. I could just see it be one of those games like Browns last second field goal. They win by 2 points or whatever, the weird score. So they, but I don't like the Browns defense in fantasy this week. I don't like anyone in this game unless you like have to start Lamar Jackson or Mark Andrews, maybe Njoku or Mari Cooper. I don't like this game though. This is a stay away game.
I think Lamar's going to be okay. Lamar might chunk out a lot of yards on the ground.
Yeah. Andrea, hello. Good to see you. All right, Tommy, I don't know if you talked about it already, but MT got arrested. Looking good for my Halaf.
Oh, they arrested him. Yes.
So Pete brought this up right before the stream, and I still haven't got an update. And I was actually thinking about that trade that we were just talking about that involved Michael Thomas. And I was like, I still don't have anything. Yeah, it's not coming through on Sleeper just yet, which is interesting. But I mean, we should talk about it. Let's see. Okay, to be a little bit more specific in my Google search, can't just put there's a lot of Michael Thomases out there.
I have an update.
Okay, you can go.
Okay, so the neighbors said he threw a brick through a car. They called the police. The police showed up. He was put into a patrol car. but the local police department does not have any record of him being taken to jail as of an hour ago. So this allegedly happened at 5:30 this afternoon. So
Uh,
maybe he was detained but not arrested.
yeah.
I don't think he's playing Sunday though. Love to see it.
Oh yeah, I forgot they're playing the Vikings.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know what to think about this. This is one of those things that could be like a civil dispute. Michael Thomas has a lot of money. He's an NFL player. It's just hard to jump to conclusions. Like,
I mean, he
it's
threw
like
a
the
brick.
Chris.
He threw a brick through a car. It sounds like it.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, it's not a
He's
good
not like he's not
situation.
gonna get suspended for this. Obviously,
Right,
it's
right.
like do
It's
the
like
Saints sit him this week is the question.
when the other week when we were streaming and Chris Olave got caught speeding, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, like how long is Chris Olave going to be suspended for?" And I was like, "Not at all. He's not going to get suspended for this." Um, I don't know. This could be one of those things where they let him play Sunday
And then he misses
somehow.
next week. Misses
Yeah, and
next
then
week.
the aftermath comes next week. So, uh, I don't know, man. When we get it,
Just remember, like everyone saw the Alvin Kamara video. He got 2 games, 3 games,
it's
and
like
that
4
was
years
like,
later.
yeah, that was like that was like as bad as it gets. Is something caught on tape. So like guys just don't get suspended anymore from the league. Maybe the team sits a guy out if they're trying to figure some stuff out, but the NFL's
Yeah,
kind of like freelance these days.
whenever there's a legal situation with a player, I always tell you guys like just let it sit because I don't have the answers. Some other content creators have the answers, and it's probably not going to be as exciting as we think it is. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for bringing it up, Tommy. Appreciate the longer answer, of course. Was leaning running backs and have PPR, but like the idea of holding off, seeing how Mondre mix and play. Hopefully, Mondre takes flight. I like both those backs a lot this week, so I think he'll be good.
You might be the only guy up for that game to watch from
Yeah.
Andre.
Let's see here. Sip needs help. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex. So let's see. Looks like we're starting Herbie, CD, and Ridley. Bijan and Monty is who I would start. And you got 2 flex. Is it crazy to go Monty and Gibbs? I don't think it is. I kind of like London this week. It's a good matchup for him.
Sure, he didn't play last week, so
Yeah. I would go Herbert, CD, Ridley, Bijan, Monty, London. The second flex is really close. Whether you want to go Tank Dell or Gibbs, it's close. I think both are fine. I think Gibbs has a higher ceiling. I'm just kind of benching James Cook right now. Now, here's the other factor, though, because I think you start Kincaid because the Broncos have been atrocious against tight ends this year. So you can flex Laporta if you want. I mean, he's just as good as a low floor like wide receiver. That second flex is really tough. I mean, I think you have it down here: Herbert, CD, Ridley, Bijan, Monty, Drake London, Kincaid. The second flex, you're going to be sitting there probably until like kickoff between Tank Dell, Gibbs, Laporta. They're all fine options, all good options. And seriously, don't be afraid to start Gibbs and Monty this week. I did it last year with Jamal Williams and Swift.
start Laporta too. Let's just start all the Lions.
I mean, it's a good game script.
I like the double back. Double backs are not the end of the world, especially with a team that runs in touchdowns.
It's like Kamara and Ingram a couple years back. Like you can see it happen. All right, sit 1 in full PPR. Deontay, Hollywood, Debo, Ridley. That's tough. I really like Deontay Johnson this week. It's a tough matchup, but I like him. I like Hollywood in full PPR. Debo and Ridley, both kind of wild card plays. They both have good matchups this week playing against each other's teams. Whoever you like better out of the two is who I would start.
I'd go Debo upside, Ridley floor.
That's fair. I like that.
Because Debo could get hurt again at any point.
That is kind of the one factor with him, right? T-Law or CJ Stroud this week, not Dynasty. I actually give the nod to T-Law, believe it or not. I think this is come back to earth game for CJ Stroud. Call me crazy.
He was awful against Carolina on the road 2 weeks ago. Like, we forget that he was just bad against one of the worst teams in football 2 weeks ago on the road. And he's missing his number one wide receiver.
Yeah. So I think in the Bengals defense, nothing to sneeze at.
No, they've been very good.
I can like hardly name one player on the Bengals defense, but they just always find a way as the season goes on to creep into being really good.
Thank you. Side note, preseason Bengal fans yelled at me because I called them a no-name defense. That's great. They got like everybody knows their names. I go, nobody outside of the Cincinnati area knows who plays defense. Nobody knows Trey Hendrickson. Okay, like what?
That's like the one guy I do know. But I think that T Law is gonna have a good week. I mean, I don't think he's gonna do anything crazy necessarily, but I think this Niners Jags game, I don't think there's any in between. I think we either see points by the end of it, or we see like a ground and pound ugly ass game. So maybe there's some risk with T Law. But I think he's fine this week. I think he's a safe option. If you want to go Stroud, that's fine. But I don't think that Stroud is going to do what he did last week this week. I think there can be more performances similar to that. Maybe not 51 points, but like in the 30-point range this year. But I don't think it's this week on the road against Cincinnati. The Cincinnati team is going to really start heating up as next weeks go on, in my opinion.
Play him next week against the Cardinals, Stroud.
Yeah, like that type of game you want to start him for sure. Where I think we can see him get back to what he did last week. But I don't know. That answer, chat. Let me know what you guys think. Let Andrea know what you guys think. Apparently, I still have too much love for Trevor Lawrence. I can't say no to him. Him and Burrow, Rashad White, to name a couple players I love. Chat, who would you guys start this week? T-Law against the Niners, Stroud against the Bengals. Would you rather roster Kyler or Jordan Love as my emergency backup? Kyler.
1,000% Kyler. Jordan Love is trash. Kyler has a potential at being good.
I mean, like, it's like you have Burrow. You have such a safe option. Take the upside with Kyler. Hill or Ingram. I mean, you can't go wrong. Both these guys have been great past couple weeks. Ingram has been so consistent.
It just feels like a matchup it feels like a Hill game this Sunday.
Like one Sunday we have to get a non-Hill game, right? Eventually. So like you're rolling the dice. But maybe this is the year where like they just keep utilizing Taysom Hill because Derek Carr's ceiling's only so high. I'd probably stick with Hill. But Ingram is like the safe play if you want a floor. Hill gives you that upside. Judy Pickens, Christian Watson. Oh, that's like the worst 3 wide receivers you could have drafted this year. And I mean, like, these are just the 3 guys that is like every week you're like, what do I do with these guys? You know? So I don't know. I guess it's tough. Watson has the best matchup. But I'm not trusting Watson.
And does he have the best matchup though? If he catches Surtain, he has the worst matchup. If Surtain's following him, because Surtain is by far the best on any of these teams anybody's facing.
Surtain's been kind of like floating. It's been weird. But the thing with Watson, there's so much risk, like in terms of him getting hurt. He's like going in this game like 4 injuries. I guess I don't know. It's kind of a bad matchup for Pickens, though. I was gonna say maybe.
How about Judy? Like he's the second option, like Jair. Like maybe Judy. Like Judy was pretty good against Kansas City when he was, I don't know, found a resurgence. They did have a bye. Like I really wish Denver played last week because we would know a lot more if it was fool's gold against Kansas City or if it's like, okay, Denver's kind of got this figured out and they're gonna be a 50-50 team the rest of the season.
11.4 in week 7, 13 in week 8. So like he hasn't been awful. The Bills have dropped down to 18th against wide receivers. Let's go Judy. Screw it. Judy. Why not? I just never say Judy, but I just don't know what to think about Pickens right now. If it was a better matchup, I'd say just start Pickens, take the upside, boom or bust, but it's a bad matchup.
It feels like they're going to force Pickens the ball, but could go really, really bad really fast.
Yeah, and like the Broncos are going to be playing from behind, you know?
Winning.
Go Judy.
Broncos are winning. What do you mean?
They might, but they're going to need to throw the football either way. Do I go Carr, Howell, or Gino? I'm sticking with Sam Howell. Said it all week. He's top 8 quarterback. If he has a bad game, then how much of a higher ceiling does Carr or Gino have? Howell's been good. I just think we start him right now. All right, we are we're not too behind, actually. We're not too behind. We're okay. We're pretty behind, but we're not too behind.
No, always keep CMC. Next question.
Okay. I agree. I would keep CMC here. It's kind of close. Good offer, but I'd keep him. Taysom or Laporta for one, or start. Yes, start both these guys over MT for sure. Even if he didn't throw a brick in someone's window, I would still start Taysom Hill and Laporta. Santos, good to see you, bro. What's up? Would you go Dobbs or Downs? I don't know if I trust Downs. You know,
weird match. It's a weird matchup.
Played last week, but then didn't play. I'll go Dobbs.
He got hurt too. He got hurt during the game last week too, I think.
Yeah, like he aggravated further. So I'll go Dobbs. I kind of like Dobbs this week. Would you trade Olave and Javonte for JJ, PPR, my other running backs, or Kamara, Hall, A-Chain, and Kyron Moss? Yeah, I would. Any Cowboys receiver not named CD is fancy clown. Pretty much.
But Ferguson, he's a dog.
Ferguson, nice. Spears or Ferguson? I would go Ferguson.
I go first.
Guys, I don't think Spears is in that like 1B running back conversation anymore to where we can play him. Like he's back to handcuff. He's gonna have some plays here and there that are flashy, but he's not getting enough volume to be in front of Derrick Henry.
Next year, Dynasty keeps Spears. Next year, he's gonna be the guy.
Yeah, I think Tajay's good, but yeah. With buys and injuries on my team, I have to either start Pitts or pick up off waivers Juju, Curtis Samuel, Trent Irwin, Reed, Robinson, Johnston. Call me crazy, but I start Juju. He tied the team in targets last week. The week before, I had a decent amount of targets, and the Colts secondary is not that great.
Not good.
I mean, I don't know if it matters.
McCorkle's pretty bad. McCorkle can't throw the football.
That's true. But I think Juju's the safest option. Curtis Samuel's okay if he does play, but those would be the two guys I would consider here for sure. Are you guys going to do another video for those who need help tomorrow night? Yes, I'm usually on Saturday nights. Got offered to trade Pierce for Dobbs so could flex him, but kind of think of holding Pierce. Damian Pierce, I mean, listen, I don't think Dobbs is great by any means, but I think he's better than Damian Pierce. Trenton Irwin is more upside than Demario Douglas this week, especially if Jamari doesn't play. Yeah. I kind of talked about this last night. I kind of think it's a little risky to go pick up one of these Bengals wide receivers and just think that they're going to get all the volume. They might, but then there's still risk. Like this happens a lot where it's like, oh, this running back's surprisingly not going to play, or this wide receiver one is down. Like you go pick up this exact player. It's not what the coaches have in mind at all, you know.
Chase is going to play. From everything I read, it sounds like he's going to play.
I just listen. Someone on the Bengals is going to get volume this week.
It's going to be Boyd. Why wouldn't
Boyd? Tyler Boyd for sure, but someone else going to get some targets.
The 16 tight ends that we saw last weekend against Buffalo or whatever they're doing.
Trent Irwin flashed last year here and there, but I would actually rather start Demario Douglas personally. So I'm going to go picking up Bengals wide receiver. Unless, like, if you're in a 16-team league, like, you know, you have 3 flex spots and, like, I don't know. Maybe
Demario Douglas is a wide receiver 1, it looks like, in New England.
Yeah.
Or at least 1A.
Yeah, Juju's 1B. Don't forget about him.
Woohoo.
You did draft him, remember?
Yeah, I know. He was short-lived on the team.
T-Law is my favorite non-Lion. Trying to get a non-biased opinion. Ghost Hunter says I'd stick with T-Law. There we go. T-Law love in the chat. Herbert or Hal, you got to stick with Herbie. You start Herbie no matter what. Donta Foreman and Christian Watson for Devonta Smith. I would do that for sure. I take Devonta Smith. Thank you for being here, Josiah. You're close enough, Tommy. It's okay. We'll see what happens.
He was running a slant and the cops caught him. That's all I know.
We're still getting information, so we'll see. What's going on? We buy homes near you. 512.
Hey, yo, Austin, shout out.
Oh, there we go. Who am I starting at quarterback in defense this week? Stroud, Goff, Mayfield, Jets, Colts, Raiders, Seahawks. This is interesting because it's between Stroud and Goff. I think Goff, safer option, good floor, ceiling's fine. Stroud, riskier. I actually think Stroud is risky this week. We just talked about it a couple minutes ago. But he's got more upside than Goff because what are the Lions going to do when inside the 20?
They're going to run the ball into the end zone.
Oh, yeah. So
maybe the Chargers are so bad at the secondary that J-Mo goes for like 3 tutties or something. Like finally,
that's true.
They're throwing it from 40 yards out.
Could happen. I'd probably go Goff, but
Safe.
I can understand why you might want to go Stroud. And we're not going to sneeze at Baker over there. He's been okay, but I still think Stroud and Goff are better options.
I like to play safe with quarterbacks. I don't like you get risky with your other positions. I like to play. I want the set standard at quarterback. Like, okay, here's my 25 to 30 if I'm having a good week.
Agreed. Saints on bye next week. They are actually. I just checked, but maybe Michael Thomas will have an uneventful bye week. Well, I guess it'll be eventful.
Hard doubt.
Which stack should I play? Kyler and Hollywood or Levis and D-Hop? The floor goes to Kyler and Brown, the upside and risk.
I love the Levis D-Hop play right here. I love it this week. Tampa Bay is like the worst pass defense in football. They had 10 days off. Will Levis actually looked kind of good in spots against Pittsburgh under duress. Like Tennessee could not block that Pittsburgh defensive line. And he made some really nice plays on 3rd and long, got the ball out. And he's learned. Throw up a 50-50 ball, it's more like 65-35 to D-Hop.
I actually agree. I think you go Levis and D-Hop. Levis, that Pittsburgh front 7 is really good against quarterbacks. They really limit quarterback play.
It's his second start on 4. Like it's his second start 4 days. Like he did a really good job.
True.
Like just look at what Bryce Young did 9 weeks and 10 weeks into the season. And compare that to what Levis did last week against kind of the Bears defense is awful. Now they've been better, but I think Levis looked really good.
Levis and D-Hop. That's her answer. Cooper or Ridley? Cooper's the floor. Tough matchup. If you want upside, go Ridley. Olave, Dell, or Deontay, standard, need 2. I go Olave. Love him against the Vikings. Sorry, Pete.
No, lots of catch. He's going to get, they're going to throw 3-yard slants all day.
Yeah. Dell or Deontay? I like Deontay more on the week, but standard, I think Dell has a better chance to score. And that's what you want to look at in standard. So I might go Dell. Deontay scored a touchdown last week, but
for the first time in 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. I'd probably go Dell and Olave in standard. Seattle or Raiders? I go with the Raiders. Once again, like all last week, everyone's like, start the Patriots defense. And I'm like, why? They're not that good. They're pretty bad. And Washington is a bad defense. They don't have a bad offense necessarily. And then once again this week, Seattle's defense been much better than the Patriots this year. But I'm like, yeah, they're at home. They're probably a good floor, but I don't see a lot of upside.
Yeah, like Seattle runs this game up. Like they get their get right game after the Baltimore game. Like there's a lot of Howell is the king of garbage. Like he'll throw for another 200 yards and a touchdown if they're down 3 scores. So like Zach Wilson cannot throw a football. Like all you have to do is figure out how to stop Breece Hall, and they seem very energized in Vegas.
Raiders double digits in fantasy the last 2 weeks. So I'd roll them out there again. Sunday night. Are the Saints become the new Raiders? Maybe.
Oh, they're the Saints.
Yeah.
They cut a deal with the devil, and now they're paying for it.
It's New Orleans, right? With T. Higgins and Nico Collins out, which 2 wide receivers should I start this week? Deontay, Dell, Hollywood, Lockett, Kirk, Ridley, Godwin. I was about to say, how do you have this? How do you have all these guys on
16
non-PPR? Okay. So we're looking for touchdowns. I go Christian Kirk. Love him this week.
Like Christian Kirk a lot this
he's due for a tutty. I think Godwin's due for a tutty too. But you have some guys here like Lockett and Ridley. I think it's tough to start Kirk and Ridley. But I guarantee you one of those two guys scores this week. Lockett gets Washington secondary, but there's other guys there like Metcalf and JSN. Godwin, a good matchup. He's also due for a touchdown. Those would be the guys I look at. Because Deontay, Hollywood, more PPR plays. Tank Dell, I do think can find the end zone, but
It's probably going to be a lower scoring game in Cincinnati.
yeah, I'd look at the other guys that you have here. Those last four guys, I would be trying to narrow it down to. But man, it's tough. 6-team league. I mean, that's the challenge. Anyone can outscore each other. You have so many good players, so it's close here. Mike, what's up, man? Good to see you, bro. I think we play each other in one league this week, so good luck. I think you're projected to beat me. Trey Hendrickson and Hubbard put on for white guy defensive squad. Go Bengals.
I don't think anybody can name a secondary player now since Von Bell left.
No, I can't either. I mean, Jesse Bates was there, but then he went to the Falcons.
Also,
yeah. And then they had who was the corner that everyone makes fun of? Who's on the Dolphins?
Oh,
now?
Eli App.
Yeah. He was there. He's not there anymore though. I'm telling you, I can't name like any, which is bad.
But they're good. They're damn good.
They find a way. Would you start Dobbs over Juju? I would. Yeah, I would. Steelers secondary has not been good. I go Dobbs. Purdy or Kyler? I go Purdy. Yeah. Purdy's fine this week, in my opinion. Not picking up, but thoughts on Titans wide receiver Kyle Phillips as a sleeper. I mean, if they're part of the Titans offense, I gotta see it first. I'm not stretching that far.
Yeah, it's been promising the last 2 weeks. Let's just say that.
That's fair. I think I can answer my own question. Dobbs for upside, Juju safer. I mean, that's a fine way of looking at it. Juju probably lower ceiling. So
having this choice would just kill me. Both of these guys just drive you nuts every Sunday if you have to play one of them.
I think if you want to break it down to matchup, which was what I would do, Colts are 20th against the position, and the Steelers are 25th. So give a slight edge to Dobbs.
And they're in Germany. No, the foreign don't wake up for foreign soil games are weird.
That's true. Traded Saquon, Godwin, got Kyler, Hollywood, Laporta, but now my running backs are Cook and White. Was it worth it? I'm 4-5. It really depends on the entire roster. Like Laporta's the positional advantage you gain with Laporta is the positive way to look at it for losing Saquon. We don't really know. Kyler's probably gonna be fine, but we still haven't seen Kyler play this year. So we don't really know what's gonna look like. Hollywood versus Godwin is.
We like White, like White over here. But
I would much rather have my running backs as Saquon and White as opposed to Cook and White because Cook is just getting so underutilized. It depends on the roster, but it doesn't kill you. Laporte pickup.
The only thing that worries me about Saquon moving forward is he is a free agent this year. The Giants really, really want to re-sign him. At least ownership does. He's the face of the franchise. They could pack him up real quick here. And it's like, okay, we're going to sit Saquon. We're going to re-sign him to a nice contract, keep the tread on those tires, and we're going to draft a quarterback. And Daniel Jones is out for the season anyway, at least half of it next year, and they can just eat that contract. They can get out of the contract after next year.
Or they just run Saquon
to death. Ground. It's like there's going to be no in between. Like Saquon is going to get 30 touches a game for the next 8 weeks, or he's going to get shut down early here.
And for the record, Daniel Jones is the face of the Giants.
Yeah, sure he is. Okay.
Sam Howell or Murray? I'd definitely go Sam Howell this week. Half PPR, start one, Godwin, Cooper, Lockett. Probably Godwin this week. But Lockett could be really sneaky this week. He plays Washington. If you own Lockett, don't be surprised if he has one of those games where every time you look up, he's making a big catch, Half PPR, Dell or Deontay. Half PPR, go Dell. Smokey, what's up, dude? If Chase is out, Godwin or JSN. I like both these guys this week. The floor is Godwin upside JSN. Tommy, shout out to my Seattle Sounders advancing in the MLS playoffs. Let's go. A pretty decent year or two for Seattle overall sports. Alex, Ty Chandler, single Terry pick over Hendo. I don't want to start any of these guys. I'd probably go. Is Hendo out or something? I don't think so. I go Hendo, Singletary, Chandler. Doug, I'm 2-8. Can I still make the playoffs? It depends on the standings overall in your league. Depends on how many losses other teams have.
Depends on what the tiebreakers are. Is it points?
Yeah.
Is it head to head?
Is there divisions? Is there not divisions? Is there a league median? Probably not. But technically, in some leagues, yes. Technically, in some leagues, no. But what you can do is you can potentially
Ruin everybody's
other-
life. Ruin everybody's week.
And like if you just give up right now, then those really small percentages of making the playoffs because of the league standings go down, But if you're keeping it competitive and you start to pull out, 2 or 3 wins, and then other teams start losing, you never know. So don't give up. Kincaid or Laporta, Potty? Standard. Standard, I'll go Kincaid. I think he has a better chance to score. Didn't score last week. Denver, I mean, don't get it twisted. They've been like bottom 3 against every position this year, fantasy wise, but they're still sitting really below. I think they're 29th against tight end. So I'll go Kincaid. But yeah,
They've been better though. Denver's been better. Like I need a split after that 70-point game and see what Denver's actually been. They feel better. I could be wrong, but they feel better.
They usually do that towards the end of the year. They tend to juice up a little. I won't be surprised if either of these tight ends outscores the other, though. Javonte or Ramondre in full PPR. I could, once again, easily see either of these guys outscoring each other. I'd probably go Ramondre, but I think Javonte's really sneaky this week. If you feel better about him, you can throw him out there. Christian Kirk or Tank Dell, I'd definitely go Christian Kirk. Barkley, Bijan, Connor need to Barkley and Bijan. Or start all 3 and bench Dell. In standard, you can start all 3 running backs if you want. But if you don't want to start Connor coming off of injury, then start Tank Dell. Guys, if you own Bijan Robinson, please start him this week. The Cardinals suck against the run. Okay. Awful against the run. Bijan will be okay this week. Should I start Hunt or Shakir? If it's full PPR, Shakir. If not, Hunt. Andrew, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out. J Fitness Bengals fan here. We have Cam Taylor, Britt, Mike Hilton, Daxon Hill, Chidobe Awuzie.
Yeah, nobody's heard of any of those people except for
Chidobe
Awuzie.
Awuzie in my Madden team.
Didn't he play for the Cowboys? Okay. I think. Yeah,
he did.
There you go. You've heard of him because he's a Cowboy, not a Bengal.
But thank you.
They're good. Don't get me wrong. The Bengals are awesome.
We appreciate you, Chris. Anytime touchdown parlay. I haven't looked too deeply yet, and I wouldn't tail anything. I haven't hit a bet in like 4 weeks. I had a good September, then just a bad October.
I didn't lose last week. I had a hot week last week betting.
Well, I should have tailed you. Smokey, if I put anything together, I'll send it over to you on Instagram.
David Montgomery, anytime touchdown, -105. There's your bet for the week.
Never mind a Monty. I knew going into this week is like, should just put $500 every week on whatever running back plays the Panthers to score a touchdown. Like, I don't know if that's been a thing this year, but I know like every week when I look up a running back scores against Panthers run defense. So
not Minnesota. You would have lost. Minnesota did not because we don't have a running back score until 2 weeks ago, and it was Cam Akers, who's now dead.
Poor Cam. Michael Wilson, Noah Brown, Devontae Parker. Jeez, I go Noah Brown. Pop Douglas still questionable. That could be good for Juju. Hendo's on bye. Oh, I was like, what happened to Hendo? Yeah, start Hendo. I don't. Going back to that question, then I would go Devin Singletary. Taysom or Dotson? Dotson another good game last week against Seattle. I'd go Taysom. Just, guys, don't leave Taysom out. I feel like if we start benching Taysom, it's like bad juju. We got to keep him. Dual guitar. Would you trade Lamar in a first for Hurts? Yes. And I don't say that lightly because I still believe in Lamar dynasty wise. I'm assuming this is dynasty. If you have 3 firsts, nothing to sneeze at. It's a good draft class coming up this year at all positions. I want Hurts though. So yes, do it. And Lamar older than Hurts. So Bijan or Algier. Hey.
Shoot me.
Yeah. I don't think this is an unfair question, but I'll still go Bijan.
You have to play Bijan.
You just have
Arthur Smith knows he's going to get fired if he doesn't start giving the ball to Bijan.
Yeah. That's so true. No one knows our tight ends either, but scored 2 touchdowns last week. Irv Smith, Tanner Hudson, Andrew Sample.
Yep. I know Irv Smith. Mr. Drops a lot over here.
Viking, former Viking.
There you go.
I don't know what we're talking about. Everyone knows who can Taylor Britt. Here's the other half of Taylor Swift's name after all. Everybody knows him and DeAndre Swift are now. If you bench Taysom, then Dennis Allen leaves a voodoo curse on your household. So I'm saying, man, don't do it. Keep Taysom in your lineup.
He always has a good game against the Vikings.
Flex 1, Connor Ayuk, Lockett, Ayuk for sure. For sure. Got to dig deep with Higgins out this week. Who's a better start, Irwin or Noah Brown? I go Noah Brown. I don't like either, though. Good to see you, Gavin. Made a big trade, traded Diggs, Cooper, a 3rd and 4th for Olave, Higgins, and a 1st. Also, a Puka and Almond. They'd be my flex. Trade deadline ends this week. Yeah, that's a big trade. I mean, getting the additional first helps. Now you're going to potentially flip it for Hurts. So you get Olave, you get Higgins. That's fine, but still losing Diggs is huge. But I don't know. Does anyone else out there feel like this point in Diggs' career is a kind of a teeter-totter? Like, at some point, this Bills team could crash.
Diggs is going to play for the Kansas City Chiefs next year and score 40 touchdowns, okay?
That could happen, too. It's
Calling
a big trade.
He's not playing for Buffalo next year. That's for sure.
I do tense or feel some tension there. But to be fair, I said that coming into the year, and he's been good this year, too. So,
but they haven't.
This is a fine trade, especially if you're going to go out and get Hurts as a result of it. So
everybody loves the Sun God, okay? Sun God's awesome.
Do not get rid of Amon-Ra, no matter what you do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start wrapping it up over the next couple of minutes. So if you guys need anything, be sure to throw it in the chat. Trade Josh Jacobs for Bijan in London. Hope I didn't F up. I don't need it. It's fine. 7-2. It's fine. Appreciate you, Gavin. We are having a great night. Should I trade Bijan for A-Chain and Higbee? Higbee? Why is Higbee even in this?
I don't know, but trade Bijan for A-Chain. Yes. At
least you know the Dolphins' offense is competent. They're going to run the football and they're going to score.
He makes it so much better, too. They've really struggled to run the football with just Mostert. I know Mostert's like 3rd in the league in rushing yards, but A-Chain is crushing in yards per carry. He's still at 470.
He is the running back 12.
He hasn't played in 5 weeks.
He's essentially played 3 games this year.
Yeah.
That's fine if you want to do it, but try and get a better player than Higbee as your second. Like, Higbee is offering no value to this trade. You might as well just trade for A-Chain straight up. Should I trade away Tua, Swift, and Jones for Eckler? Hurts and Murray. Okay. Other running backs be JT, Henry, and I have A-Chain.
I kind of like this. I kind of like a trade.
Trade Eckler for looking for. I mean, it's a lot to give up, but wait, why am I blanking? Oh, Aaron Jones. That's fine. Then you're
He
gonna have,
doesn't need Tua because he's got
yeah.
Hurts.
I mean, you don't. You'd be starting Hurts, JT, Henry. Then you have Eckler and A Chain. I mean, just do it. Why not? Power move. I mean, if Swift's my boy, don't get me wrong.
And if you want to flip one of those backs for another receiver, easily can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. But I'd say you just go into the playoffs with 4 super solid running backs. Depth is an okay thing to have. You guys are looking at your rosters and you're like, oh my God, I have 3 wide receivers on my bench and I'm not starting them. That is okay. 2 running backs on your bench that are start worthy. Like, trust me, a lot of teams out there don't. So, yeah, I'm okay with this. Steelers, Raiders, or Keys defense. I know who the Keys are, but I go Raiders. Raiders are my play this week.
Who would have auto-corrected to Keys? Somebody auto-correct. What was the auto-correct for Keys?
I know. I was trying to think for
Jets, maybe? Maybe the Jets?
Maybe
a
Jets.
Jets autocorrect? I don't know. Raiders. Start the Raiders.
I go Raiders. Pick the Chargers defense and Taysom Hill. They power me to 7-1-1. Let's go. Also the 1.1, 1.4, 1.8. So give me the 1.8. Yeah, if you're keeping the 1.1, the 1.4, then I'm good with trading the 1.8. But on
That's Howie
drafting
Roseman
Marvin
over here.
Yeah. That's fine. And yes, I personally right now, this very moment, I want Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 1.1 going into next year. That could change. But the moment, that's who I'm looking at.
Got that pit. If he goes to Chicago, maybe not.
Yeah, that's true. Start 2 PPR, D-Hop, Evans, DK, Ridley. That is tougher than it looks. But
we like DK this week.
I like DK this week, man. I just feel like he's going to score. I like D-Hop this week, but I kind of like Mike Evans and Ridley this week. I go with that. I don't know, man. I was going to say go with the alphas, but like D-Hop, Evans, and DK are all kind of alphas.
There's a lot of alphas there.
Really close enough, I guess.
I think like DK for sure is the one of the starts.
Okay.
And then Mike Evans is just like Mr. Consistent. Like if you need a consistent play, it's gonna be Mike Evans.
I think you got to start him. You can go Evans and DK. If you've been kind of bothered by DK's like low ceiling, JSN's showing up, DK's been banged up, go D-Hop and Evans. If it doesn't bother you, go DK and Evans. The Keys are the future London team. No. It was the Jets. Yeah, I go Raiders.
Jags. It was the Jags. Future London team. It's gonna be the Jags.
That's true. Think Bengals start sitting Higgins to save him for Thursday, or should I look to trade Higgins, pick up London off waivers? I don't think Higgins going to play.
Higgins is already out.
Yeah.
But they play Thursday. So it was like he picked it up in practice though, and not in the game. So that would be a little bit more concerning. Like if it was, Chase. I thought if Higgins was playing, Chase would be sitting out this week. They play Baltimore on Thursday. They have to win that game on Thursday.
See, I don't even like that matchup for Higgins.
Yeah.
London, you can play. Go scoop them up. Pick them up. Gibbs and Hollywood for Adams. I'm 4-5 in a 10-team league. He wins this trade. I'd rather have Gibbs and Hollywood. Give me the depth over a player whose quarterback play is mediocre at best. That's complimentary to say. I just don't know about Adams right now. Caleb, what's good, my guy? Appreciate you hanging out. Looking into week 11, would you start Seattle versus the Rams, Jags versus the Titans, Chargers for the Packers, or Lions versus the Bears? I would start the Lions versus the Bears.
Fields is going to be back next week.
I'd still start the Lions. Seattle, actually,
they're in Detroit. Play the Lions. They're in Detroit.
Yeah. But if Matthew Stafford's not playing for the Rams and it's like Carson Wentz out there, then Seattle might be actually a really good play. But I do think like the Lions got dropped in a lot of leagues. And then this week they're playing the Chargers. They have a pretty decent schedule defensively coming up. The other team to look for that may have got dropped was the Chiefs. So go look if those guys are out there. Have a good night, Ghost Hunter. Thanks for hanging out as always. Traded Bijan for A-Chain and Kittle. That's fine. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, broski. It's another Bijan for A-Chain trade, but this one had a good tight end. The last one had a bad tight end. Pollard, Mixon, Jacobs, Monty, CMC. Oh, touchdown scorers. I like that one.
Pollard's never scoring. Mike McCarthy is the worst.
The one he worries me for some reason is Jacobs. But
Jets run defense is not as good as the rest of that defense.
It's not. But Jacobs, I don't know why he worries me. I do think Pollard's gonna have a good game, but that's the thing about touchdown scores is like sometimes you look at matchups and you're like, oh, it's a great matchup for this running back or whatever. They end up having 98 yards, 4 receptions.
CD or Pollard is gonna go crazy on Sunday. It's not sure which one it's gonna be, but one of them is gonna have 2 touchdowns against the Giants.
Someone dropped London for Gus the Bus. Yeah, pick up London. You'll be okay, Nick. You'll be okay. Pacheco and Pollard for Gibbs. No. Negative Ghost Rider. All right, praise in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and sign off for the night. Start wrapping it up. Start one, Curtis Samuel or Jamar Chase. Curtis Samuel for sure. Just kidding. Pray. How are you, bro? Why are you messing with me? Need a running back 2 and a tight end. Najee, Connor, Kittle, Ferguson. I'll go Najee and Kittle here. Connor, first game back. Go Najee. It's a good matchup. And Kittle, let's take the upside. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. We're at the bottom of the chat. We're over an hour, so that's our cue. So make sure you guys hit the like. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe because then you can listen to me and other people talk about fantasy football stuff all year round. And make sure you guys go subscribe to Pete's channel as well after the review sports. Just dropped the link in the chat for you guys. And make sure you guys have a safe Friday night. Don't go outside and throw bricks at people's cars, guys. Pete, how many subscribers are you away from 2,000?
Let me check. I think it was 10. I was 10 away this afternoon.
You're 1.99?
99. I am 9 away. We are 9 away as of this very
guys,
second.
Link is in the chat. Go throw Pete a sub at his channel after the review sports. Let's try and get him to 2K tonight. All right, final question here. 14-team PPR. I have Kamara, Bijan, Monty Gibbs. I have Amon-Ra down. Should I trade Kamara for a receiver? A good pair of them. You can. You can also try to trade another running back.
Yeah, trade any of the other 3 running backs for something. Keep Kamara and keep Amon-Ra.
You might want to try and sell Monty or Gibbs so you don't have to have the headache of starting either guy, But I don't know. I think I want to hold Kamara for now, even though Taysom's eating some of those potential red zone touches. Yeah, I think it's fine though to try and tier up at wide receiver, with Downs being your wide receiver too. So especially in a 14-teamer. Pray, thanks for hanging out, bro. Always good to see you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for tonight. So I should be back on tomorrow. If you guys need anything, I will be back on. You guys can ask me tomorrow, or you can hit me up on Discord. Just be sure to tag me. If you guys are new to the channel, Discord link's down below. Instagram link is down below. You guys can reach me on Instagram or Discord. Just make sure you tag me or whatever. And that'll wrap it up for the night. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. And Pete, I'll let you sign off, and then we'll close out here.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. If you haven't already, check out my channel After Review Sports. I am now, it feels like every Friday. Love hanging out with you guys, talking fantasy. Another great weekend. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
All right, man. Love you guys. Love this community. Love the Catch fan. Good luck if I don't talk to you guys before Sunday, even though I probably will. And everyone have a safe weekend. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, yes, odd here. on the catch and